Hello everyone, my name is RagingRaptor and welcome to a new tank preview. Today we are going to have a look at the Object 780, and I know right now you see the whole glory of my rather not well looking workplace. This is just a little bit of an information because for the next couple of days and weeks we will most likely not have the green screen set up because I'm still struggling with my PC. I did right now put in my old motherboard, my old CPU, my old RAM again, where meanwhile my new motherboard and my new CPU are in repairs. Again, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but it is just super annoying to constantly put up and put down the green screen when I'm constantly working on my PC almost like every 2 or 3 days, because the next step will be to try and put in my new RAM in my old motherboard to see if it's working, because they literally just exchanged it. So with that out of the way, there we have the tank in all its glory. I decided again to put my camera away from it because it's a little bit too big, too chubby, and it might take away from the glory of this new Russian tier 10 assault heavy tank. And I'm like, and a friend of mine was like, who asked for this? Like, I know that World of Tanks is a Russian game, but who asked for another Russian heavy tank which is fast and has great turret armor, great speed, and a 490 alpha gun? I don't know who exactly asked for that. I genuinely do not know who asked for that. But yeah, that's the Object 780, and you can already see that this tank will most likely have the issue we already know and love from the EBRs, where the shots are just straight going through its hull without doing any damage, because look at how tall this tank is above the floor. It's insane. Like, does this tank has hydropneumatic suspension or what? Also, other issue is you won't be able to detract this tank with damage. And as you maybe could already see, the cupolas, there are apparently 3. One is here, one in the middle, and one is there. But this one and this one look fairly big-ish, but from this angle you can see the middle one is incredibly small. And as we probably already know from tanks like the 430U, it could be that those cupolas are very, very strong as well. Honestly speaking, I have a little bit the problem, or I have the feeling that this tank could become or potentially be an incredible overpowered vehicle. It's just a feeling. Obviously this is super test, you can see it right here, characteristics are not final. I'm leaving you this picture up in the comment section below because Phil X, the German community manager, did an amazing job of doing a comparison tool or a comparison thingy. We can just put ourselves back in here because there's so much space. I would like to try and get a little bit closer to a zoom and enhance cliche, but sadly I can't do this. But luckily enough, Phil already did compare it to the IS-7 and the Object 277 and the WZ-5A, because all those 3 tanks are in the same niche of 490 alpha guns with, as you probably know, decent speed. And you can see from all the tanks it is the one with the second best standard penetration of 263. However, the premium penetration is rather bad with just 305 APCR pen. I can almost imagine that a lot of people are saying that this already makes this tank unavailable or not good enough for clan wars. It will be hard to judge, and it will be hard to judge what this tank will become later on, but 305 millimeters of premium penetration and its APCR is very, very bad and damning even for competitive play. Because against a tank like a 279 or a Chieftain, you won't really have a chance properly. Obviously, Chieftain doesn't really matter because you have to snipe the cupola, but for a 279 it 100% matters because you do have to hit the upper front plate, or you can penetrate the upper front plate decently reliable in a competitive scenario when you have 340 plus millimeters of heat penetration. To that you can see it has the worst DPM of all those 3 tanks with just 2100, which is still not too bad. The IS-7 doesn't have like the worst DPM either. Like with a good crew we can reasonably well get a decent chunk of damage out of this tank. Like, as you know, I did free mark the IS-7 without using any premium rounds and rations, and with a decent crew with this loadout, which I most likely will also rock on the 780 when it will be available, we get a DPM of 2600 and a reload time which goes as low as 11.3 seconds, which again is fair. It's very convenient. It's not overpowered or anything. It's just okay. You can really use that properly. So that is what it comes to reload time, 14-second base, and again the i7 is slightly faster, but we will probably get around 11.5 seconds reload time in total. However, the AP penetration or AP speed is pretty nifty at 1030, which is great, and the APCR is at 1125, which is even better. It will definitely help you try to snipe the enemy EBRs compared to the WZ-5A and the 277. Also, interestingly enough, the tank has a little bit more rounds than the IS-7 and a little bit less than the 277, which is okay. The IS-7 can get pretty darn close to losing or using all of its rounds. So, the gun handling is weird. The gun handling is mediocre to even bad, actually. Oh, I made a tiny mistake there, whoops. 0.2, you can see, is worse than everything else. And 0.08 is also worse than the IS-7. But the accuracy is actually pretty decent. What makes this tank outstanding is its incredible quick aim time, like 2 seconds. That is insanely fast. Like, for a heavy tank, for a 490 alpha gun, this is incredible fast of an aim time. And this is comparable to some TDs or mediums even. Like, it's insanely fast aim time. So yeah, even though it is slightly less accurate on the move, the quicker aim time will make this tank feel like a young god while shooting on the move or while trying to do some quick aim shots. So this could be actually a pretty big issue, or it could actually help very skilled players to do a lot more than what they would do in an IS-7. 15 degrees of gun elevation, 6 degrees of gun depression. 6 degrees is totally fine. It's something you get used to when you play a lot of IS-7. It's totally fine. It's totally nice and it feels great, really. Obviously, the 5A 7 degrees is slightly better and it feels a little bit better, but in the end, it's all Gucci. Interesting enough, it is the slowest, tied with the 5A to top speed, and it is the second. Well, not exactly. Excuse me. It's the second best when it comes to power to weight ratio, only being slightly. Very slightly worse than the IS-7. However, the IS-7 has more horsepower, it has better frontal protection, and it has a higher top speed, meaning the IS-7 will be a much better rammer and will be able to utilize the mobility when going downhill. In general, you can say the mobility is very close to that one of the 277 because of the additional HP to ton ratio over the 5A. So, but the issue is, which this tank has, and it's the same thing with the IS-7 and the 277, horrible ground resistance values. So, again, it's very darn close to the IS-7 and the 277, as long as you're not getting over 50 kph. Turret traverse is reasonable, it's slightly slow-ish compared to the 277 and the 5A, and tank traverse is actually pretty decent in right around the middle. The armor is always very hard to judge because, let's be honest, we need to have a clear look at the armor model. Just because they're standing 300mm doesn't mean that the frontal armor protection on the turret is 300mm, or like, it doesn't mean it's impenetrable. For example, the Lorraine 50T, where we had the damage model, well, you know, it was pretty damn obvious that this tank has an incredible strong frontal armor. When you would say the same thing about the AMX M4 MLE 51 or 54, you would say, well, they have huge cupolas which negate all the armor, which is understandable. So it's very hard to judge how strong the armor will be of this vehicle. The issue is, first things first, how thick is the lower plate? Because look at this angle, it looks reasonably angled, but not that great. The upper front plate 100% will be 100mm thick. And those side plates will most likely also be 100mm thick. And they're in such a sharp angle. on contrast to the, for example, the WZ113 GFT TD, which we have, give me a second, just gotta find it right here. Those angles are also pretty sharp, but they're just 80 millimeters and they get easily penetrated as soon as you show a little bit of your side armor. This one, it is angled not only so, but also a little bit so, and they're even thicker most likely, so this tank has pretty darn good protection. I think you could even try to side scrape with this vehicle. And again, apparently the whole side armor is 100 millimeters thick. And most likely those turret cheeks are 300 millimeters thick. So it will be very hard to penetrate when you're not using premium rounds. Big question will be, how thick are the Cupros? How thick is this one? How thick is this one? How thick is this one? Do we have an overmatch spot above the gun, like here? It doesn't really look like it because it looks like a very cast turret and... well, no, never mind, here is a plate. Maybe this is a weak spot, who knows? Again, it's hard to judge and... I can't really give you a definitive answer. Next, lastly, 400 meters U range, very comfortable and comparable to all the other tanks we are comparing it to. So, overall, my personal views of the 780. First things, do we need it? Do we really need this tank? Did anybody ask for this tank? Because I don't know. I honestly never heard about this tank. Second, the crew layout is actually doo-doo and it's not really anything good for anything. Like, it doesn't really feel like you could use it for anything. Premium rounds suck big dickus, but the penetration on the standard rounds, the speed, the armor most likely, and their very, very friendly gun handling might make this tank incredibly strong in the right hands. And again, what does Wargaming want to do with a tier 10 again? It's a tier 10. We don't know if it's a reward tank or not, but it's a tier 10 tank nevertheless. So I am out. I don't know. I don't know if I should say this tank is absolutely busted or it's balanced. I personally think just from the stats itself, it looks very, very, very strong. And when we don't know the armor, we do not know the armor. And I'm a little bit scared that this armor might be too much for this tank and make it another OP tank. If it will be Clan Wars reward, if it will be third campaign reward, I don't know. It would be really sad if you think a bit with the third reward for campaign, you know, the missions campaign, another tier 10 Russian tank. That would be anticlimactic, to say it at least. But yeah, that's the Object 780. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience about the black screen, a blue screen, which I'm also sometimes getting right now. No, about the green screen, again, I'm very sorry for that. I hope that those things resolve themselves in sooner or later. My name is RagingRaptor. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, then let me know with a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and always want to be up to date with World of Tanks related things, then leave a subscription. As always, thanks for watching. Try to stay safe. And as always, good luck on the battlefield.